It's 11:39 p.m., April 14th, 1912. You're a passenger on the Titanic. In 60 seconds, this ship hits an iceberg, and 160 minutes later, it's gone. Here's what almost nobody tells you about that night. Surviving it was not just luck. It came down to a handful of choices. Where you stood, when you moved, what you believe. Get them right, and you watch the ship go down from a lifeboat. Get them wrong, and you're in the water. By the end of this video, you'll know every one of those choices, and one of them is as simple as turning right instead of left. Let's start the clock. 11:40 p.m. The iceberg scrapes along the ship's right side for about 7 seconds. That's it. 7 seconds. Down in your cabin, it's a shudder. The glass of water on your nightstand barely ripples. Around you, people are joking about it. Someone brings a chunk of ice in from the deck to show their friends. And this is already the first choice, disguised as nothing. The ship feels fine. It's warm, the lights are on. Every instinct says, go back to bed. The people who lived through tonight are, right now, doing something slightly odd. They're getting dressed. Warm layers. Coat. They're not panicking. They're just taking the shudder seriously before anyone tells them to. 11:50 p.m., 10 minutes in. Below deck, the ship's designer, Thomas Andrews, is doing the math you can't see. The iceberg opened the first 5 watertight compartments. The ship can float with 4. 5 is not a bigger problem than 4. 5 is a death sentence. The math says the Titanic sinks. Not maybe, will. The watertight doors slam shut 3 minutes after the hit. The engineers stay below, on purpose, to keep the lights and pumps running. None of them will survive. And here's the trap of the next hour. Nobody announces any of this. There is no alarm, no speaker system telling you the truth. The ship knows it's dying before the passengers do. If you're new here, this channel does one thing, one scenario, one clock, lived from the inside. Subscribe if you want a new clock every week, because this one is about to speed up. 12:05 a.m., 25 minutes in. Up in the radio room, operator Jack Phillips starts sending the distress call. Ships answer. Here's the problem. The closest one that's actually listening, the Carpathia, is about 4 hours of hard steaming away. The math on the wall is brutal. Ship, 2 hours, 40 minutes left. Help, 4 hours out. There is one ship close enough to matter, sitting stopped in the ice on the horizon. But an hour before the crash, her radio operator tried to warn the Titanic about that ice. Got told to stop transmitting. The line was busy with passengers' paid telegrams, and switched his set off for the night. So write this into your plan. Tonight, rescue does not come to the ship. Whatever saves you has to happen on deck in the next 2 hours, and you have to walk to it. 12:15 a.m., 35 minutes in, and now comes the most dangerous room on the ship, the first-class lounge. It's heated. The band is playing cheerful dance music. They've been told to keep everyone calm. There's hot cocoa. Nobody told the staff that the evacuation is real, so they are saying the words that will kill hundreds of people tonight. Stay put. It's just a precaution. Feel the pull of that room. Outside, it's freezing and dark and confusing. Inside, it's 1912's version of everything's fine. The choice is ugly and simple. Walk out of the warm room. The survivors tonight are the ones standing on a cold deck feeling a bit silly, a full hour before anyone official admits why. 12:45 a.m. Boat number 7, the first lifeboat of the night, drops toward the water. It has 65 seats. It leaves with about 26 people, less than half full. Why? Stand at the rail and you'll understand. The Titanic still feels solid. She's tilting so little you can barely tell. And they're asking you to climb into a small wooden boat, swinging on ropes 20 meters above black, freezing water. The big warm ship feels safer. The rowboat feels like the risk. It's exactly backwards. Here's the number the ship isn't telling you. There are about 2,200 people aboard, and seats in the boats for 1,178. Barely half. Every seat that drops away empty right now is one that will not come back. The choice: get in the first ugly, half-empty, unfair boat you're offered. The perfect boat never comes. 1:10 a.m. If you think Boat 7 was bad, watch this one. Emergency Boat 1 goes down with 12 people in it. 40 seats, 12 people. Among them, a wealthy couple, their staff, and 7 crew. And no one goes back to fill it. 28 empty seats rowing away into the dark, while more than 1,500 people are still standing on the deck behind them. Every one of those seats was reachable in the last 20 minutes, if you were standing in the right place when the officer looked up and said, "Anyone else?" Which brings us to the deadliest decision of the whole night. It isn't a boat, it's a direction, and it's next. 1:20 a.m. And now the part almost every documentary skips. The one that decides more male lives than any other fact tonight. The ship has 2 sides. Port, on the left, Officer Lightoller is loading boats. He reads, "Women and children first," as women and children only. He is lowering boats with empty seats rather than let a man take one. Starboard, on the right, Officer Murdoch reads the same order differently. Women and children first. Then, if no women are waiting, men can board. Same ship, same minute, 2 different sets of rules. More people got away on the starboard boats, 461 against 399. If you're a man tonight, turning right instead of left roughly changes your fate. Meanwhile, distress rockets are going up, 8 of them tonight. There's a ship on the horizon, the Californian, the same one that switched its radio off. Her crew can see the rockets. They watch. They don't act. Nobody's coming yet. 1:30 a.m. If you're in 3rd class, the clock has been running against you from the start. The boat deck is at the top of the ship, and your ticket puts you at the bottom, down a maze of corridors with signs only in English. Nobody comes down to guide you. The survival numbers tonight will split brutally by ticket. Around 62% of 1st class live, 41% of 2nd, 25% of 3rd. Not because of locked gates in the movie sense, because of distance, information, and time, which is the whole lesson of this clock. Move early, on your own decision, before the crowd. So be honest with yourself. It's 12:45. The ship feels fine. The boat is half empty and swinging. Ship or boat? One word in the comments. Most people that night said ship. 1:40 a.m. The deck is tilting now. No one is joking anymore. Collapsible C, a smaller boat with folding canvas sides, goes. The chairman of the shipping line, Bruce Ismay, steps in as it lowers. He'll be hated for that seat for the rest of his life. 2:05 a.m. Collapsible D, the last boat that will ever be launched from the Titanic. 25 people in 47 seats, while crewmen link arms in a ring around it to stop a rush. And then, there are no more boats. If you're still aboard, and with those numbers you probably are, your survival plan changes completely. There are 2 Candace collapsible boats left, lashed to the roof of the officers' quarters. The crew won't get them launched in time. They'll float off as the deck goes under. One swamped, one upside down. That overturned one has a name, Collapsible B, and it's about to matter more than anything else in your night. 2:18 a.m. The lights, which the engineers have kept burning for 2.5 hours, finally go out. The ship breaks in 2. 2:20 a.m. Gone. And now the clock changes what it's counting. The water is -2 Celsius, below the freezing point of fresh water. Hitting it triggers cold shock, an involuntary gasp. If your head is under when it happens, you drown in the first seconds. Survive that, and the cold pulls heat from your body about 25 times faster than air. Most people lose consciousness within 15 to 30 minutes. Swimming makes it worse. Moving speeds the heat loss by roughly another third. So the rule in the water is one line: get on something and stop moving. About 30 men survived tonight standing on the overturned collapsible B. The ship's chief baker, Charles Joffin, becomes famous for surviving on whiskey. That's a myth. Alcohol speeds the cold, not stops it. He lived because he kept his upper body out of the water, hanging on to that same boat. Out of the water beats in the water. That's the whole science. 2:40 a.m. 18 lifeboats float in the dark, and between them, they have room for about 500 more people. One boat goes back. One. Boat 14. Officer Lowe waits until the cries thin out, afraid of being swamped, then rows into the field. He pulls 4 people from the water alive. In total, from everyone who went in, 13 come out. 3:30 a.m. A rocket on the horizon, the Carpathia, coming hard. She arrives around 4 a.m., almost 2 hours after the ship went down, and takes 705 survivors off the boats, out of more than 2,200. Back to reality. Could you actually beat those 160 minutes? Honestly, no choice guaranteed you a seat. A man aboard that night had about a 1 in 5 chance. But look at where the survivors actually were. Dressed early, out of the warm room, at the boats before the crowd, on the starboard side, in a half-empty boat that felt like an overreaction. Every one of those was a choice available to almost anyone. And here's the good news your ship ticket comes with today. This exact night wrote the modern rules. Lifeboat seats for every single person aboard. Mandatory drills before sailing. A radio watch that's never allowed to sleep. You will almost certainly never face this clock, because 1,500 people already did. So, final answer, ship or boat? Tell me below. Somewhere on Earth, another clock is already counting. See you on the next one.